very smart. But I would also tell you that I think we're very good about not letting the viewer know what our opinions are in our newscast. And that's my opinion. If you feel it's different, when you see it happening, call us up, send us an email, let us know what we did, and we'll respond.
But more important, I'm not saying...
Well, actually you are, because we're the ones that are sitting here.
Yes, but unfortunately you're sitting there with a symbol that has ABC on it.
Yeah.
And whether it were NBC or CBS, it was Bob Ferris as a reporter who helped influence me and through him and his experience with me. So all I'm trying to say is, I'll be happy to call, but I'm asking you guys to police your own industry.
Well, and my point to you is, I think we're, and I know I'm sounding defensive, and I don't mean to, but this is my life. This is my life, and it's been my life for a long time. We're very proud of what we do, and we don't think we're doing what you are indicating that we do, because we're the ones that are sitting here. So when we do, let us know, and we'll respond.
All I'm asking you to do is, I'm not accusing you guys at all.
You're about to get a little more of that. I'm afraid you're going to get a little more of that.
That's fine.
The single most undercovered news story of the past 5 years has been the demise of the Los Angeles Times, which is now a great sports page and a crappy newspaper. Okay? And it's a horrible newspaper. And I say that as somebody who got the Times in my house for over 50 years, who delivered it as a kid, whose mother was a reporter there, who took it in every house I've ever lived in until last year. Okay? It's the most undercovered story. But it creates a huge vacuum in Los Angeles, and it's one that I'm going to ask you guys to do what television does worst, right? Because what we need is much more than eyewitness news. We don't need eyewitnesses. We've got a lot of eyewitnesses. Every kid on YouTube has a camera that can put it in somebody's face as it's happening and show it to us within 3 or 5 minutes. What we really need is perspective. And what we really need is we need perspective. Everything that you heard people talk about today that's harming Venice, everything that's dividing Venice, is for the bigger community as well. And there were results of policy choices. There are results of choices that nobody covers until there's a collision of this side and this side banging against each other. Then it's good picture, then it's good soundbite. It's exactly what you were talking about. When you get good picture and good soundbite is when you got a Tea Party member over here and an ex-member of the SDS over there screaming at each other. It's very dramatic, but it's not very enlightening. So we have issues here of affordable housing. We have issues here of transportation, public transportation. We have issues here of safe parking and RVs and homelessness. We have issues of coastal access. We have issues of diversity. And when I say diversity, I don't mean black, brown, Asian, white. I'm talking about the middle class and the upper class and the lower class. That diversity. Because the middle class is getting squeezed so hard and nobody's covering, nobody's talking about that as a result of policy choices. We have in the state of California, we're about to cut mental health funding. Okay? That's a policy choice being made. Nobody's talking about it, but I can tell you what the result will be. We're about to turn loose 6,500 convicted criminals. Now, that's a result of policy choices, but I can tell you what the result is going to be. And we got those 65. We have the biggest prison population in America as a result of policy choices. Policy choices not to have affordable housing, not to have mental health. The prisons are the last mental health resort of choice here. If you're poor, if you're homeless, you break a law, you go to prison. It's the shelters of choice here. Nobody's talking about the policy issues there. Nobody. And the Times isn't going to do it. San Francisco Chronicle never did it. You know, there's nobody in the state of California covering this stuff. And you guys are the guys, the last guys left standing. You guys, the broadcasters, you're the guys left standing. It's you and YouTube. And YouTube ain't going to give us anything other than, here's what happened right now, no perspective. All right? So we need you to step up. There's a big vacuum here in Los Angeles, a big vacuum here in the community. And what you do instead, and I'm afraid to say this, I'm going to say it, which is, you look for the most dramatic footage, you look, if it bleeds, it leads. What can we tell you? Where's the most dramatic thing that's going to get you watching the advertisement at the break? What's going to keep you coming back? Okay? And you wind up with, and we wind up with, shouting heads and no clarity as a community.
That's right.
And it's a real problem.
Can I ask you a question? Do you actually watch us?
You know something? I watch television all day long.
No. I didn't ask you to watch television. I asked you to watch Eyewitness News.
I'll be honest. I haven't watched Eyewitness News. You guys pissed me off about 5 years ago, and that was it. I'm just over the LA Times. When you guys piss me off, I'm done.
That's fine. That is your choice. You are free to watch it. It's a free country. You can like us, you cannot like us. But you can't stand there and tell us what we cover if you don't actually watch us and see what we do. Now, we are the only local station in Los Angeles that has a dedicated Sacramento reporter covering nothing but the issues that are important to Los Angeles and the surrounding communities. We're the only ones who fund it. Every other station in this town has taken the money away from that. We have not. We think that's important. We think the governor needs to be covered. We think the legislature needs to be covered. We need to be on these issues. We just did a story last week on how, in partnership with the Center for Investigative Reporting, on how all these buildings on the campuses of the UC and Cal State system are not earthquake safe, and how there's no funding for this, and that the money's going to build new buildings instead of retrofitting buildings that students are walking in every single day. Now, I think that's a story with some perspective, which we covered. Now, we cannot be all things to all people. It's not possible. But the reason we have meetings just like this, every 6 weeks, is because we do want the perspective. We do want to hear what you have to say. And I think if you watch us on a regular basis, do we cover the crime? Absolutely. And nobody cares about it until it's in their neighborhood. You know, oh, you're doing too much crime. But the minute there's a crime next door to somebody, now suddenly, why didn't you cover that?
Right.
So all I'm saying is, in our best efforts to cover the 5 counties that we serve, we cover a multitude of stories. Some of them are the kinds of stories you're talking about. We absolutely do. But we're not into screaming talking heads. That's not what we do. I know that's what's on cable all day long, but that is not what we do. We think that we are a station that prides itself on fairness and balance. On the camera, off the camera, behind the scenes, we are interested in what other people have to say. And I invite you to watch us on occasion and see if there's something
So let me ask you this. When you cover one of those stories, how long is that story? Is it a 3-minute story? Is it a 4-minute story?
It depends on the story. But
No, I asked you the question. I asked you this. I know that. I know. Well, you have a finite amount of time, 3 or 4 times a day. I know that. And that's what the challenge is this. The problem is this. We've lost. And if you're the people who are giving us all the perspective in the community, that's great. But Los Angeles as a community, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. And we're not saying that we're the station that gives you all the perspective in the community. But we are one station that does a hell of a job. We do 44 hours of local news a week. If it bleeds, it leads. Doesn't go for us. Sometimes the bleeding story is the leading story. But very often it's not. Very often that story never gets told. And very often it's down in the 3rd segment. But I would tell you, why don't you watch us? And then come and tell us where we're wrong. You haven't watched us in 5 years. I gotta tell you, in all seriousness, you should be embarrassed to have said to us what you said.